The alarm did not roar. That was the first sign something was wrong. In the Dragon Empire, alarms were loud, bright, and impossible to ignore. They shook walls and echoed across space. But this time there was only silence. A quiet gap where certainty used to be. The royal transport arrived on schedule. Its engines cooled. Its shields lowered. Honor guards stood in perfect lines, wings folded, armor polished. The chamber doors opened to receive the future of the Empire. And the cradle was empty. At first no one spoke. The guards stared, unsure if their eyes were failing them. The transport's inner lights flickered, showing the soft restraints unbroken, the energy field intact. There were no signs of damage. No struggle. No alarm logs. The Dragon Heir was simply gone. A ripple of unease spread through the chamber. One guard stepped forward, scanning again, slower this time, as if the heir might appear if he looked carefully enough. Nothing changed. The sensors, someone asked quietly. All clear, came the reply. No breach. No jump signature. No forced exit. That answer made things worse. Within minutes, the citadel stirred. Doors sealed. Wings beat through vast halls. Messages flew across secure channels. The elders were summoned, their long sleep broken by urgency. The Dragon Heir was not just a child. It was a promise. A living balance written into ancient law. Without it, the empire would fracture. Every noble house knew this. Every rival beyond the borders would sense weakness. The elders gathered in the high chamber, their massive forms casting long shadows. At the center hovered a projection of the transport's interior, replaying the last recorded moments. The heir had been there. Then, between one frame and the next, it was not. No fierce spike, one elder said, studying the data. No distress signal. No external force, another added. The cradle systems were untouched. Then how? A third asked. Silence followed. At last the oldest among them spoke, voice slow and heavy. It left. A low murmur spread. Impossible, said one elder. The heir was too young to travel alone. And yet, the oldest replied, the systems show no failure. No attack. Only absence. Search orders were given at once. Fleets fanned out across known space. Stargates were locked, then unlocked in careful patterns. Sensors scanned planets, stations, and trade lanes. Priests searched ancient signs. Scholars argued over forgotten texts. Nothing. Hours turned into days. Whispers grew. Some claimed betrayal. Others blamed humans or old enemies or fate itself. But no proof appeared. Only one truth remained clear. The heir was not where it was supposed to be. Far from the citadel, beyond main routes and royal attention, a small station drifted near the edge of controlled space. It was old, quiet, and mostly ignored. Humans used it for repairs, storage, and short rests between longer journeys. No one thought to search there. Inside a narrow observation ring, a human technician named Orin finished a routine check inside. The station lights hummed softly. Outside, stars passed in slow silence. Orin liked that. He turned to leave when he felt it, a warmth behind him. Not heat from machinery. Something softer. Alive. He turned. In the corner, half hidden behind a storage unit, was a small shape curled in on itself. Scales reflected the dim light like muted silver. Tiny wings were folded tight, trembling. Orin froze. The creature lifted its head slightly. Its eyes were large, bright, and tired. They met his. Neither moved. The station did not alarm. No warnings flashed. No emergency codes activated. The small dragon made a soft sound. Not a threat. Not a cry. Something uncertain. Orin swallowed. You're lost, he said quietly. The dragon did not run. Instead, it shifted closer to the wall as if trying to become smaller. Its body glowed faintly, then dimmed again, like a light unsure if it should stay on. Orin slowly sat down on the floor, keeping his hands visible. It's okay, he said. I won't touch you. The dragon watched him closely. Minutes passed. The station continued its slow drift. Outside, the galaxy moved on, unaware that the most powerful empire in known space was searching in the wrong direction. In the dragon citadel, the elders reached a grim conclusion. The heir did not flee danger, the oldest said. It fled pressure. The words hung heavy in the air. Then where would it go? Another elder asked. The oldest closed his eyes. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere without expectation. Far away, in a forgotten corner of space, a small dragon remained hidden behind a human who did not know its name, its title, or its importance. Only that it seemed to feel safe. And that, perhaps, was the most dangerous truth of all. The station had no guards, no banners, and no reason for anyone important to stop there. That was why it felt safe. Oren learned this slowly, over quiet days that passed without alarms or visitors. The small dragon stayed hidden at first, always near the shadows, always ready to flee. It watched him with careful eyes as he moved through his routines. He pretended not to notice how often those eyes followed him. He did not report the creature. Not because he was brave, but because something in its posture stopped him. It did not act like a threat. It acted like something tired of being seen. On the second day, Oren left a small heat pack near the corner where the dragon stayed. He placed it gently on the floor, then walked away. When he returned hours later, the pack was gone. The dragon was warmer. That night, the station lights dimmed to rest mode. Oren sat at the small table in his quarters, eating a simple meal. He heard a soft sound behind him. Not footsteps. More like cautious movement. He turned slowly. The dragon stood at the doorway, halfway hidden, wings folded tight. It was small, smaller than the legends Oren had grown up hearing. Its scales reflected the light softly, not bright or sharp. His eyes were still watching, always watching. Oren set his food down. "You can have some," he said, pushing the plate a little closer, then stepping back. The dragon did not move for a long time. Then, inch by inch, it came forward. It sniffed the air, careful, then took a small bite. It chewed slowly as if expecting punishment for the act. None came. The dragon relaxed just a little. Days passed like this. Oren fixed panels, checked systems, and cleaned corridors. The dragon followed at a distance, never touching him, never leaving his sight. It slept in warm corners and near vents, always choosing places that were quiet and hidden. No one came looking. Far away, the Dragon Empire searched louder and harder. Fleets crossed space. Elders argued. Noble houses blamed each other. Sensors swept grand halls and dangerous worlds. They did not scan forgotten human stations. Oren noticed the dragon's habits. It flinched at loud noises. It froze when machines powered up too quickly. It relaxed only when things were slow and predictable. One day, when a cargo ship docked briefly, the dragon vanished completely. Oren searched the station in panic, calling softly, until he found it pressed into a storage crawlspace, shaking. "I won't let them in here," Oren said without thinking. The ship left minutes later. The dragon returned. That was the day Oren understood. It was not hiding from danger. It was hiding from attention. On the fifth day, Oren spoke aloud while repairing a console. "You don't like being watched, do you?" The dragon tilted its head. "That makes two of us," Oren added. The dragon made a soft sound, not quite a voice but close enough. In the dragon citadel, new data arrived. "There is no fear trail," one elder said slowly. "The air is calm." "That is impossible," another replied. "It is alone." "Not afraid," the first insisted. The oldest elder closed his eyes. "Then it is not alone." Back on the station, Oren prepared a small sleeping space near a heat vent, using spare blankets and insulation. He placed it quietly, not forcing the dragon to use it. That night the dragon slept there. For the first time it slept deeply. Oren sat nearby, pretending to read, listening to the slow, steady rhythm of breathing that filled the small room. He felt something settle in his chest, something gentle and heavy. He still did not know what the dragon was. He did not need to. The dragon began to explore more. It followed Oren openly now, stepping into light, watching stars through the observation window. It touched the glass once, carefully as if testing the universe. Oren stood beside it. "Big, isn't it?" The dragon's eyes reflected endless space. It did not look afraid. One evening, Oren noticed faint symbols glowing under the dragon's scales. "Ancient. Powerful." He frowned, uneasy. "You're special," he said quietly. The dragon looked at him, then lowered its head slightly. "Trust." Far away, dragon scouts finally traced a weak signal. Not a distress call. Not a power surge. A feeling. "The air is near human space," a scout reported. "Prepare retrieval teams," an elder ordered. The oldest raised a claw. Carefully. On the station, Oren packed supplies. He did not know why. A feeling told him something was coming. The dragon watched him closely, unease returning to its posture. "Hey," Oren said softly. "You're safe here." The dragon pressed closer to him. Outside the station, space remained quiet. But it would not stay that way for long. The place no one watched had become the most important place in the galaxy. And the small dragon had chosen it for one simple reason. Here it was not in air. It was just alive. The silence ended suddenly. Sensors aboard a Dragon Empire scout ship picked up a faint signal. It was weak, unusual, and impossible to ignore. The Dragon Heir had been found, not in any palace, not on any patrol route, but far at the edge of human-controlled space. The scouts reported immediately, sending waves of alert through the Empire. "Prepare the retrieval teams," the eldest dragon commanded. "No mistakes. This heir is not to be lost again." Orin noticed it first as a shadow on the observation window. Stars moved faster than usual. Ships, sleek and massive, glimmered in the distance. The hum of engines reached the station before the ships did, making the small dragon stir nervously. It pressed against Orin, wings folded, tail curled around his leg. "They're coming," Orin whispered, feeling the weight of what he didn't fully understand. The dragon moved closer, and Orin felt the urgency in its body. It was alert, not angry, not threatening. Alert. They were coming, and it could feel the pressure before it arrived. Minutes later, the scout ships hovered just outside the station's shields. Lights glared, not to harm but to scan. A communication panel opened, broadcasting across secure channels. "This is Captain Raquel of the Dragon Empire. Step forward. The royal heir must return to the Citadel. No harm will come if you comply." Orin's hands trembled slightly. "Oh, I'm not sure how to do that," he muttered to the dragon, who simply blinked and stayed pressed against him. The hatchlings, because that was what they were, small dragons, peeked from behind crates. They made soft noises, low and careful. Orin realized they were aware, sensing the threat, but not afraid of him. Raquel's voice continued. "We know the heir is here. Step aside, human. This is not your choice." Orin shook his head. I can't. I don't know where it wants to go, but it's safe here. Please. It's not ready. It didn't come for anyone." The ships paused. Raquel's eyes, sharp and unyielding, narrowed. He looked at the signal, noticing the absence of fear patterns. The heir was not panicked. It was calm. That was impossible. A dragon heir alone, far from the Empire, should be alert, anxious, frightened. "Scans show no fear," Raquel said, confused. "How is this possible?" The human scratched his head, unsure what to answer. "Maybe it's not about danger," Orin said softly. "Maybe it's about feeling safe." The ships shifted slightly. Raquel studied the signal feeds. "It shows a human?" "Yes," Orin said. He knelt slightly, coaxing the dragon forward. "It followed me here. It didn't come because it was scared of anyone else. It came here because here is quiet." One hatchling stepped fully out of its hiding place. It stretched, testing the air, then flopped near Orin's feet. Another followed, mimicking the first. Raquel and the accompanying retrieval team froze. This was not rebellion. This was not defiance. This was something else. A choice. "Are you protecting it?" Raquel asked. Orin nodded. "I guess. I don't even know how really. I just stayed with it." Another scout dragon tilted its head. "It trusts him." "Yes," Orin said softly. "That's why it's calm. It doesn't trust anyone else." The elder dragons on the main ship communicated quickly among themselves. They had prepared for confrontation, for force if necessary. Now they hesitated. The heir was not in danger. The human was not afraid. And the heir seemed to have made its own decision. The ships hovered, engines quiet. Raquel stepped closer to the communicator. "We have never seen this," he admitted. A dragon heir choosing sanctuary rather than following protocol. Back on the station, the small dragons moved closer to Orin, curling around his legs and shoulders. They chirped softly, and he realized they were waiting not just for him, but for the moment the others tried to take them. They would not fight. Not yet. But they were aware. Raquel's voice softened, almost in surprise. "It has chosen autonomy. It is not afraid. It is content here. Is this human keeping it from duty or helping it survive?" Orin shrugged. "I don't know what duty means to a dragon. I just know it's alive and not scared. That's all I can do." There was a long silence over the channel. The ships remained in orbit, the crew tense. The humans' quiet station, with its simple walls and routine tasks, had become the most important place in the galaxy. The heir had chosen safety over command, trust over law, and no one had prepared for that. Raquel finally said carefully, "We will observe. No one will act without understanding. If this human has earned its trust, we will not break it." Orin blinked. "You mean, you're not going to take it now?" "We will wait," Raquel replied. "The heir has made its choice. That is rare." The hatchlings chirped and Orin smiled faintly. He realized then that the dragons were testing the Empire as much as he was. Every eye outside the station was questioning authority. Every engine hum carried hesitation. He knelt beside the largest hatchling. "See? You're safe for now." The dragon looked at him and blinked just once. Not fear, not challenge. A simple acknowledgement. Far above, the Dragon Empire fleets remained in orbit, waiting. Questions filled the council chambers. Scholars argued about duty and choice. Elders debated what it meant for a dragon heir to make its own decisions. On the station, nothing changed except the quiet presence of trust. The air was calm. The human was steady. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy realized that control was not the same as protection. The small dragons pressed closer to Orin as the night passed. Outside, stars moved silently as if the universe itself paused to watch. And in that pause, nothing was lost. Not yet. The station was quiet, but the tension was thick. Outside, the Dragon Empire fleet held its position. Sensors scanned endlessly, yet the air remained calm, safe, and hidden. The human, Orin, moved carefully through the corridors, carrying supplies and checking systems. The small dragons followed, stepping lightly, as if aware that the eyes watching from orbit expected movement, expected fear. Orin paused at the observation window, staring at the black velvet of space. "They'll be watching every move we make," he said softly, almost to himself. The largest hatchling shifted beside him, wings folding tightly, eyes reflecting the starlight. It seemed to understand. For days nothing happened. The Empire debated, argued, and threatened, yet no one acted. The air did not panic, and Orin realized why. It wasn't afraid of ships or warriors or even orders. It was afraid of being forced. It wanted to exist without command, without expectations, without judgment. The human understood this slowly. "You're not scared of me," he said, kneeling beside the hatchling. "You just don't want anyone else deciding for you." The hatchling blinked once, soft and certain. That single gesture said more than words could. Orin began to see the truth. Safety was not walls or weapons or rules. Safety was trust. Safety was calm. Safety was being seen but not controlled. He had never thought of it this way when repairing machines or fixing panels, yet here it was, in this quiet station at the edge of known space. Meanwhile, the Dragon Empire elders were divided. Some wanted forceful retrieval, insisting that protocol must be obeyed. Others argued for patience, noting the heir's unusual calm and apparent choice. "It is not fleeing danger," the oldest elder said. "It is seeking peace. We cannot destroy what we do not understand." Orders were sent, then rescinded. The fleet hovered, engines humming softly in orbit, as if space itself waited for the right moment. Inside, the hatchlings began small explorations. One nudged a loose tool across the floor. Another tapped on a viewport, fascinated by the tiny twinkling lights of distant ships. Orin laughed quietly, the sound unusual in the empty corridors. "You're curious, aren't you?" he said. The dragons responded with soft chirps and gentle movements. They did not flee, they did not attack, they simply existed. Orin understood then that this was the first time the heir had been allowed to exist in such a space. No rituals, no expectations, no heavy gaze of history or law. It had chosen the human not for strength, not for protection, but for quiet companionship, for the understanding that here, it could just be. He prepared small meals, cleaned the station carefully, and moved slowly, respecting the dragon's pace. He realized that patience was more important than authority. The hatchlings followed naturally, imitating him in small, careful ways. One attempted to open a panel, and Orin guided it gently. Another flapped its wings in a small breeze, learning the rhythm of air currents. Learning, he realized, was part of safety too. Messages came intermittently from the Empire. "The heir must return," they said. "Its safety is our responsibility." Orin replied carefully, noting that the heir's safety was not in orders or power but in freedom. "It is safe here," he wrote. "It chooses this place." One night, the largest hatchling curled against his side. Orin could feel the small, steady heartbeat, the warmth that radiated like faint sunlight. "I think I understand now," he whispered. "Safety isn't just avoiding danger. It's being able to trust that nothing will force you to stop being yourself." The hatchlings chirped softly in agreement, pressing closer. The station lights dimmed, creating shadows that moved slowly across walls. Outside, the fleet waited, engines soft, eyes sharp. No one dared move, for they could feel the quiet understanding that had formed between human and heir. The elders continued their deliberations. "The human does not command," one said. "The heir follows willingly. That is unheard of." Perhaps we have misunderstood all along, another said. We think protection is control, but maybe it is presence without force. Oren spent hours beside the dragons, teaching them without realizing it. He showed them how to perch safely on rails, how to balance on narrow edges, how to interact without fear. He never told them to obey. They watched him, copied him, trusted him, and through that trust they grew stronger. The heir came to the observation window, peering at the stars. Oren joined, noticing how calm it was, how steady, how certain of its place. "This is your choice," he said. "You can leave any time." The heir blinked, lifted its head slightly, and returned to watch the stars. No fear, no panic, only quiet certainty. Far above, the fleet remained. They waited. The Empire watched. And slowly, the message began to sink in. True safety is not power. True safety is not obedience. True safety is trust, patience, and quiet presence. And in that quiet station at the edge of space, the human and the dragon heir had discovered it together. For the first time in generations, a dragon heir could breathe, simply exist, and know it was safe, not because anyone told it so, but because someone understood. The galaxy could wait. Here, in this small place no one had thought to watch, life had found its own balance. Weeks passed quietly on the small station. Outside, the Dragon Empire fleet remained in orbit, engines humming softly, scanners sweeping for the smallest anomaly. Inside, Oren moved through the corridors with calm purpose, checking panels, carrying food, and always aware of the dragons moving around him. The hatchlings had grown stronger, more confident, but never reckless. Their eyes followed him, their movements synchronized with his, yet independent. The largest hatchling, the heir, stood by the observation window, staring out at the stars with a quiet curiosity. Oren approached slowly, kneeling beside it. "You're learning," he said softly. "Not just about this station but about yourself." The dragon blinked once, a gentle acknowledgement, then shifted its weight, testing the floor, stretching wings that had once seemed too small for flight. In the citadel, debates raged. Some elders demanded immediate retrieval, citing tradition and law. Others, observing the reports from the scouts, argued for patience. "It has chosen," the oldest elder said. "It has chosen not out of fear but because it feels safe. That is something we have never understood until now." Back at the station, Oren had begun teaching the hatchlings small exercises. They learned balance, coordination, and observation. Not as commands but as guidance. The heir followed him willingly, testing edges, practicing wings, learning how to move without danger, how to explore without being watched. Oren never forced them. He showed patience. He offered presence. And through that they grew confident. One morning a message arrived from the fleet. It was Raquel, speaking formally, but with something unusual in his tone. "Observation confirms your methods. The heir is unharmed. Continue as you see fit. We will not intervene unless requested." Oren stared at the message. He hadn't expected permission. He hadn't asked. But it meant that the Empire, for the first time, acknowledged something deeper. Protection was not control. It was trust. It was respect. It was giving space to grow without fear. The heir approached him that day, stepping closer than before. It nudged his hand with its snout, a gesture of acknowledgement and trust. Oren smiled. "You're ready?" he whispered. "You've learned more than I could teach. You've learned to choose for yourself." At that moment, a soft vibration ran through the station. The fleet above had adjusted formation, signaling recognition rather than threat. Word spread slowly through the Empire. The human had not commanded the heir, yet the heir had learned, grown, and flourished under his care. Other dragons observed, elders reconsidered, and even skeptical nobles paused. A new example of guardianship had emerged. That evening, Oren sat near the observation window, the hatchlings gathered around. The largest, the heir, lifted into the air, testing its wings gently, circling once, then returning. Oren extended his hand. The dragon landed lightly, pressing its snout against him. It was a gesture of respect, of connection, and of mutual understanding. "You know," Oren said quietly, "true protection isn't about locking someone away. It isn't about power or fear. It's about helping them learn, helping them feel safe, and trusting them to make their own choices." The hatchlings chirped softly, nuzzling against him. They had learned this lesson without words, through presence, through calm, through patience. The next day a small delegation arrived, not to take the air, not to enforce command, but to observe. They watched Oren move through the station, watched the dragons interact, and saw something new: harmony. The air was calm, confident, and curious. It explored without fear. It learned without coercion. It existed without being forced. One elder spoke aloud, a note of awe in the voice. This is what we have misunderstood for centuries. We thought protection required strength, authority, and control. But here, it is trust. It is patience. It is presence. Orin watched the delegation quietly. They're seeing what I see every day, he said to the air. That being safe isn't about walls or weapons. It's about feeling that someone cares enough to stay, to guide, but never to force. The air shifted closer, curling around him, wings folded in comfort. Orin placed a hand on its back. It was warm, steady, alive. He realized then that the station, once a forgotten corner of space, had become the most important place in the galaxy. Not for its technology, not for its position, but because of the choices made within it. The Dragon Empire slowly adjusted its laws. Sanctuary zones were recognized, allowing creatures and heirs to choose guardians and places of safety. Patrols continued, but now they respected autonomy, understanding that force could protect nothing truly precious. Orin and the hatchlings continued their routine. Days passed in quiet training, observation, and trust. Every new skill the dragons learned, every moment of calm and courage reinforced the simple truth. Protection was not power over another. It was care, presence, and respect for choice. One evening, as stars glimmered beyond the viewport, the air lifted into the air, flying in wide circles before landing softly on Orin's shoulder. The smaller hatchlings followed, practicing small flights, learning to trust their own abilities, learning the meaning of freedom within safety. Orin whispered, "This is it. This is what you were missing, the chance to choose, to be safe, to be you." And the dragons, the Empire, and even the distant stars seemed to understand. True protection was not control. True protection was trust, patience, and quiet guidance. And in that small station at the edge of space, a human had taught the galaxy its most important lesson.